Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Cavalry 86. I am here with Piper. She's smelling things, getting to figure out what's going on here. And what's going on, most people know that there's a start and an ending of anything. And today is one of those days that it's kind of an ending. Well, it is an ending. It's not kind of. What do I mean by that? Well, I am in the house that was my parents. This is the final day of their move. They have to have everything out absolutely by today. So this is probably the very last day I will step foot into this house. And so why is that a big deal? Well, I grew up in this house. My brother and sisters grew up in this house. We moved into this house back in 1972. I was 5 years old. My sister was, she was 4. And then I think my brother was 2. I'm guessing. So it's kind of a sad day. Again, this is the last time I'll be in here. So let me give you guys a little tour, go over some things, some memories of back in the day when we first moved in here. I can remember first walking in the front door with my parents. Oh, by the way, my mom at the time was pregnant with my youngest sister. So she had to deal with all us kids, plus being pregnant, the move, and so forth. So I can remember walking in the front door, like here's the front door behind me. Walking in the front door, and we're looking around, and let me turn this camera around for you. So like I said, the front door is behind me, right behind me. And this is the living room. Now, when we first moved in, this door was not there. That door was right there. I can remember my dad, years later, cutting that opening, and I'll tell you why he did cut that opening and moved it from there to here. But anyway, I'll get to that in a bit. But I can remember vividly, we were told on the way here that there was an upstairs. Now, we had never lived in a place that had an upstairs. I mean, we had basements, but we never had an upstairs. Everything was on one level, all the other places besides here. So it was a big deal to us kids that there was an upstairs. I don't know why, it just was a big deal. At least it was to me. I don't know about my brother and sister at the time, but I can remember looking over here, and this door was shut, just like it is. What do you want? What do you want? You're fine. This door was shut, and I remember standing here, gonna open the door. I didn't know what this was. I mean, it could have been a closet for all I knew. And I looked over at my dad, who was standing there, and all he did was smile. What, Piper? What? Just a minute. Piper had to come along. She had to be in her little bag. Anyway, like I said, I was gonna open this door, looked over at my dad, and he just smiled. So I opened up the door, and there was the stairs going up. Now, I won't take you upstairs just yet, because that's a big reveal. It's way different up there than it was even just a few months ago. So I'll take you up there in a bit. So in the kitchen here, the kitchen was way different. Like I said earlier, this door was not here. This door was over here in this corner right here. The stove was where the sink is now. The refrigerator, which that wasn't even the original refrigerator, was about right where this door is. There was only a small space between the wall and the refrigerator. We could put some bags in there, some grocery bags, turn the lights on and off, turn this fan on and off, this exhaust fan on and off. That was about it. So there was no cupboards over here. There was no cabinets, no counters, no nothing. It pretty much started about right here and went over to here and turned into here. The sink was here. The doorway to get into the dining room was about right here. And I know that because there was a cabinet just in front. I don't want to show you guys all the trash, but there was a cabinet just in front of this cold air return. And that was the broom closet that we put all the brooms and mops and stuff like that in. And then once you got into the dining room had 3 windows. There was a window on this side of the house, the north side of the house. And they were sliding windows. They weren't up and down like these windows are now. So this room has changed quite a bit since the first day we moved in. It's way bigger, way roomier. So, and the phone was never there. The phone was over here. And we used to rush to answer the phone because, you know, back in the day, phones had cords, and that's where it was at the time. So the hallway isn't much different color paint, but it's still the same. Had the same bathroom. Well, it wasn't the same bathroom. I take that back. The tub and the toilet and the vanity were all the same. It's always been in these places. It did get an upgrade when we moved in. This mirror was not the original mirror. But one of the big things is these cabinets. This cabinet was never here. That was just a wall. And I'll tell you why that was never there. But other than that, we had blue and white tile on the wall. But the tub was a cast iron tub. Years ago, my dad updated the bathroom and put this surround sound, well, I don't know if that's what you call it, but a one-piece bathtub in to prevent any leaks in the walls and mold and what have you. So, and that register was never there. It was over here. So that got moved also. So this room, there's 4 bedrooms in this house. This room, at first when we moved in, was set up to be the nursery for my youngest sister. And the reason why the bathroom has those cabinets now is because we took out the closet that was here. There was a closet, I think it opened up this way. So, but the window is always there, the register is always there, and the cold air. The register of the room is here. But later on, this room became my bedroom. Years and years later. My bed was over here in the corner. My dresser was up against this wall where the closet is, or what used to be the closet. I had a desk sitting over here right next to the register and the window. And what was funny is, like I said, my bed was over here. My headboard was over here. So and at the time, because that doorway going into the kitchen was not there, in that corner is where we had the TV, our little 19-inch tube TV. And what I did, and I told my mom this just the other day, is on the door here, I taped a mirror on the door right here, a small little mirror. And what I did was I would angle this door so that over here, laying in my bed, I could watch TV when I was supposed to be sleeping by watching that mirror. She got a good chuckle out of that today. I don't know why she didn't see that before, but I mean, obviously, that was something I did. This room here was and has always been my parents' room. Nobody other than my parents occupied this room while living here. In fact, this is the only bedroom in the house that I didn't have at one time or another. So they used to have a desk sitting over here. I remember that. It was over here on this wall. Their bed, I guess, was over here. I don't remember where their dressers and stuff were, but yeah. They had tiny closets. Tiny closets. So I can remember these closets being packed full of stuff. So now I'll take you guys upstairs. Like I said, this was all different. There was no handrail. There was no carpet. There was some treads, carpet or stair treads on the steps. There was no carpet. This switch at the time powered the whole upstairs. If you shut this switch off, there was no power upstairs whatsoever. And my mom, if we had the radio on or whatever, or she wanted to get our attention, she would flick this light on and off. Or like in the mornings, she would bang on this wall and yell for us kids to get up and get ready for school. So it was just a little memory there. But yeah, going upstairs here, completely different. There was absolutely no carpet up here when I was a kid. In fact, if you turned around like this, these walls were never here. None of these walls were here. When we first got here, there were bookshelves about this high up on the wall. There was no switch here. That wasn't there. Like I said, that was the only switch that powered this whole upstairs. Now there's a two-way switch, or three-way, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, there was bookshelves on top, at the very top here. And you could see across from one another. So this room here was, if I'm not mistaken, and these closets were here. These closets were over here. There was a closet here and a closet over there. These attic doors were always there. So like I was saying, this room I believe was my sister's room. Both of my sisters. When my youngest sister got older, she had this room. So, or she shared a room with my sister. And they had beds on each side of the room. And I can remember when my older sister was when my older sister was older, she used to hang records on the wall. I'm not sure if they were here or here, but I can remember her hanging the records up on the wall. So, but yeah, there was bookshelves right across the way, all the way over. And what's funny is these walls and ceilings were not drywall or plaster. They were, I forget the name of the material, but it was like the ceiling tiles here, a very fibrous material. And I mean, you could literally, if you were strong enough, you could push your finger right through it. So, but yeah, the chimney is behind this wall. I'm not sure exactly where, but I know it's behind this wall. And this used to be my brother's room, or mine and my brother's room at one time, a couple times actually. It was both our rooms when we first moved in. It was our room together when my uncle moved in with us for a short time. It was our room when I came back from the military. So, yeah, I used to have a dresser over here. I think there was a dresser over here. I don't remember. I know there was a bed here. I had a couple mattresses stacked up here when we got back from the military and stuff like that. But yeah, this room is drastically different. This whole upstairs is drastically different. There was never light fixtures in each of the rooms. There was only a single light at the top of the steps, about right there. That was it. There was one outlet. There wasn't 3 outlets in each room. There was one outlet right there, and that was it. If you had a light, that's where you powered it in. If you had a radio, that's where you powered it in, and so forth. So I can remember even one year that this wasn't even considered a bedroom. We didn't consider it a bedroom. We called it a playroom. Most of our toys and stuff were in this room, and it was pretty trashed. You know, like most kids, they trash their rooms or their toy rooms or whatever, playrooms. And I can remember, I think it was me and my brother. We were sitting here. It was a summer day. The windows were open. We were playing ball or whatever. I don't remember exactly what we were doing. But then all of a sudden, the civil defense siren went off, or the tornado siren, whatever you want to call it. But anyway, that went off. And we paused for a second because it wasn't raining. If I remember correctly, it was sunny out. And in the summertime, the last Friday of the month, I think it is, it always went off. It's like a test. But it wasn't a Friday. It wasn't the last Friday. So we paused for a second, like, what in the world is that? And then we realized it's not fake, it's not a test. So we quick ran up and ran downstairs and then ran all the way downstairs. So that's another little weird memory I have. But yeah, this is a very drastically different room. I'll take you guys downstairs right now. The basement hasn't changed very much. There's always been this one light down at the very bottom of the steps. Actually, there's one drastic change. There was a wall here, and we took this wall out. We were going to make this room a family room, and I can remember my dad putting up the drywall, or not drywall, but the paneling. There was this cabinet was here. There was another cabinet right where this is at. It covered all this stuff here. There was shelves here. We had a small, I think a black and white 13-inch TV. We used to watch TV down here. This was before cable and all that stuff. Everything was rabbit ears or antenna up on the roof. But I'm not sure if my dad had any help. But he made this. He stacked these bricks. He laid these bricks, and we had a wood burning stove right here, wood burning fireplace right here, and obviously the pipe went up in here and plugged into the chimney. But and then the brick continued. I don't know if you can kind of see, but it was a square box here that they used to store all their old records inside there. There was a stained piece of plywood on top, and then over here the brick continued over to the end, and then we had cushions on there for seating. It was like a little love seat, and I don't remember why or when they took that out. And you can see here where the bricks had been joined with with fireplace here. But yeah, my mom used to hang clothes down here. My dad, at the time, my dad was working at like a clothing store, and he had to dress up. He had to wear suit and tie and all that stuff, and he liked his suits, or not his suits, his shirts, his dress shirts, starched, extremely starched. So what he would do, well, my mom would iron them, and he would complain that they weren't stiff enough. So I think she got a little sarcastic one day, and she went to the Myers, the local grocery store, and she bought a bottle of liquid starch, and she poured it in a bucket, and she soaked his shirts after they were washed and hung them to dry. And that stuff, when it dried, those things could stand up on their own. I mean, they were rock hard. And then my dad took a water bottle and sprayed it a little bit, and then he ironed it, and he thought that was the best thing. It was perfect. So I can remember being down here, and there was clotheslines going back and forth, and they were used to hang my dad's rock hard starched dress shirts. This side of the basement was the work side. My dad had built benches, a workbench that went all the way across the wall here, and he had toolboxes and tools hanging up on the pegboard and so forth. It was always a very rough room. Where that beeping's coming, oh, it's probably coming from that right there. Let's see if I can open this thing. So, and then in through here was always the laundry room. And it pretty much has never changed. I mean, there was a shelf here. There was a shelf up here where we put the laundry soap and so forth. But everything is absolutely the same. Except we never drained it in here. We had this thing, this drain tube hanging over the side. It would drain in this tub, and then go down to the drain down below. But other than that, new furnace, new hot water heater. Nothing has changed down in this room. I forgot to mention on this side, there used to be a homemade cabinet my dad made here. There was a big mirror here. My dad wanted this area to be kind of like a bar, family room area. He even made a bar that used to stand right here. It was kind of like a horseshoe bar. It was not fastened down. It was just, you could move it anywhere into this room. But we would come down here as for big family events, Christmases, Thanksgiving, just a bigger place more open for people to gather and not be on top of one another. Now we're outside under the carport, and one of the big changes that happened out here was that it was never like this. When we first moved in, there were there were boards up top, but I don't remember what kind of boards, but there was no plywood, there was no shingles. It was fiberglass sheeting that was up here. And I'm not sure how far it went out. I don't think it went out quite this far. But there was metal supports, not like square, but they were decorative metal supports that held up the carport. In one winter, luckily we were all in the house, and my dad was out at work, so the car wasn't in here. But one winter, it got so heavy with snow that it actually collapsed. And so that became a deal where it got turned into the insurance. And my dad built the carport as you see it today. So, but he also, years ago, in the process of getting the carport ready to be built, he had to do a bunch of cement work. And all this was new cement that he poured. Right here was new cement. Around here was new cement, and all down here was new cement, all brand new. And I'm guessing it was in '79 that we did this. And my handprint, my older sister, my brother, and I don't know why my younger sister here wasn't here, but there's a J there. Another little tidbit: when he redid the carport, he redid the front porch. That used to be a flat roof, and I can remember when one winter the ice had backed up and caused some leakage in the house. And my dad, it's like in the middle of winter. He doesn't have the ability. I don't even know if he had the time or money, but he couldn't fix it right then. So his decision was he was going to go to the store and buy a 5-gallon pail of tar, and he put it in front of the register in the living room to make sure that it was soft enough for him to put up on top of the front porch. Well, he got up there, and I'm telling you, it was freezing, below freezing outside. And that thing was like syrup. It was so soupy and runny that even in the low freezing temperatures, that tar would drip down from here onto the front porch, and you can still see to this day a little bit of tar on the front porch here. Not very noticeable, but you can still see a little bit of it all those years ago. For the longest time, these steps were covered up. They were here when we were kids, but then my dad decided he was gonna fill this in. The steps were gonna be down back here on the edge of the thing. But before all that, before he filled this in, I don't remember my brothers or sisters, but I would run and jump off this drop off and down into the backyard. And I don't know why. Not too long ago, maybe a year or so ago, my dad's insurance company told him that he had to put a rail up all the way around the carport where it dropped off. And he said if they didn't do that, they were going to cancel his insurance. Well, I told them, wouldn't they have been shocked if they'd known that as a kid I'd run and jump off that? I mean, it's not very tall. It's about, I don't know. Let's see how tall it is. I am 5'7", and this is about nose height. So it's not very tall as an adult, but as a 8, 9, 10-year-old jumping off here, landing over here, and us kids used to play in these woods. I mean, not much in the wintertime, but in the summertime, that's pretty much where we were all summer, all the way down, all the way over in there, just playing in these woods. There used to be trails back here. We used to ride our bikes in there. When I got out of the military, I don't know if it's kind of a what do you call it, a tradition still, but when servicemen would get out of the military, we would tie the bootlaces together of our combat boots and then hurl them up over some sort of power line or tree or something like that. Well, I did that to one of these trees out here, and the other day I went out before it snowed again. I went out and I looked for that tree, and I don't see the tree anymore. let alone my boots. I think the tree had fallen a long time ago. So I don't know where that's at, but I don't know if you can tell. There's a small creek that runs right through here, right through there, and it goes all the way down to the street down there, which there's a big stream on the other side of what is called Byers Street. So, but yeah, in the wintertime here, this was the place to be. This is all my friends, my sister's friends, my brother's friends, we would all come here and go sliding down this hill. And we'd build a little ramp down at the very base, and we'd hit that thing and go sailing. And after I came back up here from Georgia, my dog Sly used to be in a pen right down there. So, yeah, there used to be a huge weeping willow tree right here, just on the other, the other side of the property line, on the neighbor's side. I mean, it was huge. And like most weeping willows, the branches would come down, and they would come down on top of the hill. And they were low enough where us kids could grab it and swing out into the, out down below the hill. And we'd do that over and over until all of a sudden, a few of the branches would snap and we'd land right on our butts. So, I mean, that happened just a few times, and we learned our lesson. Way before we moved in, the dining room portion of the house here, the house ended right here. The house was built in the 1950s, and the house actually ended right here. And later on, somebody, I don't know if it was the previous owner before my parents or whatever, but they added this portion on, the dining room portion on. And I'm assuming it was 1962 that they did it, because that's obviously been there. Well, I think that's about it, guys. I don't know what more I can share. I mean, the neighborhood has changed quite a bit. The only family that is still here, that when I moved in, or when we all moved in, is the DeGroot family right across the way here. Everybody else has moved. You had the Vissers. We call them the Me Man. The Books, us, Coles, Mrs. Townsend. Across the way was Cheney's, Anderson's, DeGroots. I'm not sure who was in that house. And then my friends, Randy and Coolers lived on the other side on our side of the street. Tim Hula. So, I don't know. It's gonna be weird not being able to come here and do anything or visit. I even had the thought of bringing one of my grandkids' sleds and taking one last slide down the hill, but I don't heal as well as I used to, so that'd probably be a bad idea. So, but yeah, it's just inevitable that this was going to happen. It's sad that it is. Like I said, my parents have lived here since 1972. So it's a long time living somewhere in one place. Grandkids have played here. Great grandkids now. So my mom is having a hard time with the move. Like she said the other day that she's lived most of her most of our life here, I guess. So, anyway, I'm gonna call this one done, guys. The ending is not going to be the same. The ending is going to be, I'm going to share some photos, some memories that have been taking place here. So, in the meantime, I want you guys to stay alert, stay safe, Toujours Pret, and I'll see you later.
Da, 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 da. What you think? What you think? Did somebody tell you you were pretty? I bet they did. Oh, a big girl! Oh my goodness, how big you are! Oh my goodness, a big girl! A big girl!
Yeah,